Hi there. Welcome to Hourglass Workshops and Conversations with Nancy and Cheryl. I'm Nancy Burns. I'm an acupuncturist in San Jose, California.
And I'm Cherryll Stevie. I'm a writer and blogger in Los Gatos, California. And today I asked Nancy, as we generally do when we begin conversations, well, what are you reading these days? And she showed me the book and told me about it. And I thought that would make a great topic for today. And you want to
Ex-
talk a little bit about the book?
Yeah, it's What I Wish I Knew About Luck by Tina Seelig. And it's in, okay, now I'm going to preface this by saying I'm only a couple chapters into it, but it is not at all what I expected. I thought it was about being lucky. It's really more about preparing yourself to be lucky, putting yourself in the right situation, the right mindset, building your network, and luck comes to you.
Hmm.
And how this book came to me was I was talking to a patient, and we all talk about books because all
Right.
I have a group of people that love reading. So I said, "What are you reading?" And she told me she was reading this book about luck, and that this gal, she is a professor for the last 25 years at Stanford, and she is a teacher of entrepreneurship,
The
and
author is. The author is, not your
the
patient.
author is, yes, Tina Seelig. Um, and she's written, I think, 18 books or something,
Yeah.
but this is her most recent book about luck. And I said, okay. And so then we started talking about luck. And I said, well, I used to be really lucky. Um, Starting when I was about 18 years old, I started winning things. I won a wedding dress, I won a sewing machine, I won a Snark sailboat. I've just won things lots of times in my life. And when I first started my business, I was the moderator for the Women in Business group down in Morgan Hill, and we would have monthly luncheons. And every month we'd buy tickets, to whatever the gifts were. There were a table full of things, and every single week I won. And
Mhm.
people were thinking it was rigged. Well, it wasn't. I had nothing to do with it. But I did literally win every week, which got to look very suspicious to the point where I was feeling very funny about it. But um, anyway, so I have been very lucky in my life, and then my luck stopped. And I hadn't won anything in years and years. And so we started talking about this, and I thought, okay, I'm going to get the book, which I did, and I'm going to change my luck. I'm going to get to be lucky again. And so I decided to be lucky again. And one of the things to being lucky is paying attention
Mhm.
to your surroundings. And so I was walking out to my car and I looked down and there was a shiny dime on the ground. And so I pick it up and I was so tickled with that dime. I was thinking, oh my God, my luck is back. I'm lucky again. And I thought about that dime all day. First of all, it was very shiny. It was a really pretty dime. And I was just really happy to have it. And so I put it in a special place in my wallet, my lucky dime. And about 3 days later, out of the clear blue, I got a $50 gift card from a patient that I haven't seen in years. I mean, really, a number of years. And for absolutely no reason. It wasn't my birthday. There was no particular reason for it. I was delighted. I thought, wow, once again, lucky. So I thanked her and said, stop by and see me. And she's not even in the area anymore. I have no idea what precipitated that, but I wasn't going to ask. I thought, well, that was lucky. And so who knows what's next?
Yeah.
So anyway, and then my patient, who I said, all right, let's do an experiment. She was walking out of Whole Foods and found a dime. So she took a picture of it and sent it to me and said, I'm lucky. And I said, you are, your luck's begun. So I'll be anxious. I'm seeing her tomorrow. So I'll be anxious to hear how her luck's been this
Yeah.
week. So
Yeah.
what's your experience with luck?
Well, I mean, I think that the story of how you and I met was a
Oh,
lucky moment.
that's right. Yeah.
And that was probably about, I would say probably close to 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And we both got invited. We had a mutual friend, and that Nancy and I didn't know each other obviously at the time. It was a mutual friend for an event, and it was like a meditation thing in her home, and it was a weeknight, and I don't particularly like to go to things on weeknights. And this thing was kind of only moderately of interest to me. I found out later Nancy felt the same way. I was like, oh, really? It's a little too woo-woo, blah blah. Anyway, but we both and realized we kind of shared that same interest, but we wanted to support our friend. And we met. We ended up having coffee afterwards, and I think I booked an acupuncture appointment. I'd never had acupuncture before, and I was curious, what is it? What does it do? And does it work? And it does,
And
by
see,
the way.
there's the curiosity
Yeah,
piece.
and so when I think about that, and I've had a lot of different lucky occurrences that, you might call it serendipity, you might call it luck, but what it is, I mean, I was curious. I said yes to an opportunity, and
Right.
and I was open to the possibilities, and just as you with luck, and I think, when your luck turned, what do you think caused it to turn when you were winning all these things? And I remember when I met you and different events we went to, you always won things.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you what I absolutely believe.
uh-huh.
It was when I was starting my business and I was going through a divorce and I had no money. And I didn't have money to buy gifts for people, and they'd invite me to one event or another. And so I'd win something and I'd give it away. So I gave away everything but one thing I won. That one thing is a little clock that's still in my office today because I walked in and saw it and I thought, ooh, I'd like to win that. And I did. But I think the universe or whatever, the powers that be, finally said, well, we're not giving her anything anymore because she gives everything away. And so now I don't give things away.
Yeah.
I'll give something else away, but not something I
Right.
won.
Right.
So
Yeah. And so I think there's
anyway,
a point of appreciation. You know,
appreciation. And I appreciated it because it saved me not having to pay for
right.
something I couldn't afford to pay for. But I guess it wasn't sending the right message.
Uh-huh.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sending out the right message now.
Yeah, yeah, but I do think, and I think particularly at this time in our life when there's a tendency, to kind of say no, I'm not interested, I don't want to do it, I'm too tired. Our worlds feel like the energy's not moving in the direction that we necessarily like.
Yeah.
But to stay open to
Yes.
possibility,
You never know. You
right?
never know what opportunity you are missing,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And she talks about this in that you build your community. The more people you talk to, the luckier you become.
yeah,
The more observant you are, the luckier you become.
mhm,
I mean, if I were just walking along staring at the clouds, I wouldn't have seen the dime
right.
and I wouldn't have started my new path to being lucky
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And mine, I mean, I ask people a lot of questions, I'm innately curious and whether it's about what book you're reading or what are you doing? And I happened to talk to a friend of mine that was interested in writing, and she had just taken a workshop from a writing coach. And
yeah.
I said, oh, that sounded interesting. And this was probably 8, 9 years ago. I followed up, found out about the writing coach, took another course from him, and then had him as a coach for several years. I still work with him and his writing group, and it's Chad Allen, by the way, Chad R. Allen, and
Hmm.
in book camp, and he does a great job. And I'm
Uh-huh.
probably one of his most ardent fans, but I found an entire writing community just by asking questions, being curious, and
Yeah.
following up. And was
Yeah.
that luck? I think so.
Yeah.
But it moves us in a
And
variety
it
of,
leads you down the path that
yes,
you look back and go, that was a lucky connection,
yes,
you know,
yes,
or that was a connection that changed the course of my
yes,
life. And it
exactly.
could be somebody you sit next to on an airplane, a class you take.
Yeah.
That's one reason I don't ever want to give up my business because every time my patients come in, I learn something
Right.
and I love that
Yeah.
just through conversation.
Yeah.
So, I really encourage people if you feel like your world is starting to narrow, don't let that happen.
Yeah.
You know, stay engaged, stay
Mhm.
aware, and stay curious.
Yes.
I think curiosity, which she talks about, is a big
Yeah.
piece of
Yeah.
it.
And there's just so many ways to do that and bring that into your life. And if you find a dime on the ground, pick it up, put it in your purse in a safe spot.
Okay, I have to tell you a funny story. I was I was with my sister-in-law and I found a quarter and I picked it up. She goes, "Don't pick that up."
Yeah,
I said, "It's a quarter. Why?" And she said, "There could be fentanyl on it." And I said, "What?" She goes, "They're doing that." I said, "That is, it's all over the internet. Don't ever, if they leave $100 bill under your windshield wipers, don't touch it because it's got fentanyl on it and you pass out and they steal you away." First of all, I'm an old lady. Nobody is stealing me away. And it would take two of them to hoist me out of there anyway. So I feel pretty
yeah,
safe,
yeah,
But I just thought that was hilarious.
yeah.
So, okay, I've got a tip. If in fact you get $100 bill on your windshield wipers and there's somebody waiting to steal you away, get in your car, lock your door, drive away, then put on some gloves or get a piece of paper and pick up the $100 bill and then take it home and wash it and then put it in your purse.
There
And
you
you got
go.
$100. Yeah,
Okay.
and
Many
you're
ways,
safe.
many ways to approach luck, but
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, so you just keep looking for it, appreciate it, and
Yeah,
enjoy. So
be
until
open to it.
what's that?
Yeah. Be open.
Yes, be open. Yeah, be
Yeah.
open. So
Yeah.
until next time, I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Nancy.
Bye now.
Bye.